March 15, 2025. The Oval Office crackled with tension. President Trump, his face etched with resolve, addressed the nation. Operation Rough Rider had begun. It was a direct response to the escalating aggression of the Iranian-backed Houthi militia in Yemen. The president's directive was clear: obliterate the Houthi threat. The operation's primary objective was the complete annihilation of the Houthis' deadly arsenal. Missiles, drones, launchers, all marked for destruction. The United States would no longer tolerate the rogue regime's reign of terror. The world watched, holding its breath as a superpower unleashed its might. President Trump, known for his decisive action, ordered the immediate deployment of overwhelming force. The USS Carl Vinson, a Nimitz-class supercarrier, received its marching orders. The mighty warship, a symbol of American naval power, set course for the Middle East. Its destination, the turbulent waters off the coast of Yemen. The Carl Vinson, a behemoth of steel and technology, cut through the waves, its mission to join the USS Harry S. Truman. This wasn't just a show of force, it was a clear message: America would protect its interests. The world watched as two carrier strike groups converged, an ominous prelude to the coming storm. Deep within the Yemeni mountains, hidden from prying eyes, lay the Houthis' deadly arsenal. Caves, fortified and shrouded in secrecy, housed an array of lethal weaponry, missiles capable of striking ships hundreds of miles away, drones, silent predators in the sky, armed and ready to strike, launchers hidden in plain sight, poised to unleash chaos. This was the enemy the United States faced, a shadowy force armed with advanced weaponry. The Houthis, emboldened by their Iranian backers, had become a significant threat to international shipping and regional stability. The Red Sea, a vital artery of global trade, had become a hunting ground. Since late 2023, the attacks had escalated. Commercial ships, their holds filled with goods destined for ports around the world, became targets. The Houthis, using a combination of drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles, terrorized the shipping lanes. The world watched in horror as a humanitarian crisis loomed. The situation reached a boiling point on April 6, 2025. A U.S. supply ship, attached to the USS Harry S. Truman, came under attack. A ballistic missile, its trajectory aimed at the heart of the American fleet, screamed through the sky. The attack, a clear escalation by the Houthis, demanded a swift and decisive response. The USS Carl Vinson sailed towards the Persian Gulf. On board, over 5,000 sailors prepared for the mission ahead. The ship carried a potent arsenal. F-35C Lightning IIs stood ready in the hangars. F/A-18E/F Super Hornets were armed and ready. The Carl Vinson was not alone. The USS Harry S. Truman awaited its arrival. Two carrier strike groups were about to join forces. The combined might was a clear signal: America meant business. Section 4. The Red Sea aflame. The Red Sea, once a beacon of trade and prosperity, had become a battleground. The Houthis, emboldened by their attacks on American warships, continued to terrorize the region. The world watched in horror as the situation spiraled out of control. The United States, determined to protect its interests and maintain freedom of navigation, responded with force. Airstrikes, precise and devastating, targeted Houthi military installations. The roar of American bombers filled the skies over Yemen as bombs rained down on their targets. The strikes, however, were not solely an American effort. Israel, a key ally in the region, joined the fight. British forces, their history intertwined with the region for centuries, also participated in the retaliatory strikes. The message was clear: the world would not tolerate the Houthis' reign of terror. On January 10, 2025, a coordinated attack by the United States, Israel, and the United Kingdom sent shockwaves through the region. Houthi strongholds were pounded into dust. Command and control centers, believed to be directing the attacks on shipping, were obliterated. Section 5. The Eagle's retort. The United States, despite the coordinated strikes and the deployment of two carrier strike groups, faced a difficult enemy. The Houthis, unlike conventional military forces, were elusive. Their weapons, often supplied by Iran, were hidden in complex networks of tunnels and caves. The cost of the operation was staggering. The United States, in just 3 weeks of Operation Rough Rider, had spent an estimated $200 million on munitions alone. The price tag, while significant, paled in comparison to the human cost of the conflict. Despite the public pronouncements of success by President Trump, whispers of doubt began to emerge. Pentagon officials, speaking on condition of anonymity, admitted that progress was limited. The Houthis, despite the relentless airstrikes, seemed no closer to surrender. The challenges were numerous. The Houthis' arsenal, much of it stored underground, was proving difficult to target. The terrain, mountainous and unforgiving, provided ample cover for the militia's fighters. And the threat of retaliation, from both the Houthis and their Iranian backers, loomed large. Section 6. Shadows in the Strait. The USS Carl Vinson, its journey to the Persian Gulf nearing its end, faced one final challenge, the Malacca Strait. This narrow passage of water, separating the Malay Peninsula from the Indonesian island of Sumatra, is one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. Navigating the strait, with its shallow waters and constant traffic, was a delicate operation. The Carl Vinson, a behemoth of a ship, had to proceed with caution. The slightest miscalculation could result in disaster. The strait was also a potential flashpoint. China, its influence in the region growing, viewed the presence of American warships with suspicion. The Carl Vinson's deployment, coming at a time of heightened tensions between the United States and China, added another layer of complexity to the situation. Russia, too, was monitoring the situation closely. The Kremlin, its relationship with the West at its lowest point in decades, saw the American deployment as a provocation. The world watched as two superpowers, their rivalry playing out on a global stage, eyed each other across the contested waters. Section 7. Echoes of War. The conflict in Yemen, simmering for years, had once again flared into violence. The United States, drawn into the fray by the Houthis' aggression, found itself embroiled in another costly and complex military intervention. The human cost of the conflict was impossible to ignore. Thousands of civilians had been killed or wounded in the fighting. Millions more were displaced, their lives upended by the violence. The humanitarian crisis, fueled by the ongoing conflict, threatened to engulf the entire region. The situation in Yemen was a stark reminder of the human toll of war. The sailors aboard the USS Carl Vinson and the USS Harry S. Truman, far from home and facing constant danger, understood this better than most. They were the tip of the spear, the human face of America's military might. The conflict in Yemen was far from over. The Houthis, despite the relentless airstrikes and the deployment of American warships, remained defiant. The threat of escalation, of a wider regional conflict, loomed large, and the world watched, holding its breath, as the echoes of war reverberated across the globe.